All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about example one. We're going into box and whisker plots. These are kind of cool ways to be able to break down data. I mean, depending on what field you're going on, I didn't use them much, but uh, not just field. Let me actually preface this. Depending on what your boss likes, I've never had a boss that too much cared for this. They wanted the quick, the easy, bar graph, pie graph, things like that. But box and whisker, it can actually tell you a lot of data. So let's get into it. When we're building a box and whisker plot, we've got to worry about four things to begin with. Five. There's 5 points here. The first is the smallest number. So we got to put our data in order to be able to easily spot the smallest and the largest. We need both of those. We're also going to be needing the median. So putting our data in order is just probably the smartest thing we could do. We've got the smallest number being 18, our largest number being 30. Now our median is going to be in the middle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 numbers. So I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the median would be right between 25 and 25. So in this case, the median is 25. Because if you take 25 plus 25 divided by 2, you get 25. All right, so we've got our median. We've got 3 over 5. Next are the quartiles. Now, think of that root word quart. Quart as in like quarter, they share the same root, okay? So quarter means a fourth. Since there were 12 numbers, really what I'm doing is I'm going from the median and the lowest and halfway in between. So that would be 3 numbers in because there's 6 in the lower half, 6 in the upper half as far as data entry. So if I look at this and I go 3 in, 1, 2, 3, my lower quartile is going to be between 22 and 24. That happens to be the number 23. Now my upper quartile is in the upper 6. So I'm going to start at the median, and I'm going to look at my upper, and I'm going to go halfway in between. Well, again, there's 6, so if I do 3 and 3, so 1, 2, 3. So right here, that would be between 28 and 29, or sorry, 28 and 30, which happens to be the number 29. So again, just to write it out, we have our smallest number at 18. We have our lower quartile at 23. We have our median at 25. We have our upper quartile at 29. And we have basically our largest or our upper limit at 30. All right, now let's talk about what this means. According to our data, we have split this up into quarters. Quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. A quarter just means split up into fourths, okay? So we have 4 sections. That means 25% of our data is gonna fall in the first quartile. The next 25% falls in our second quartile. The next 25% falls in the third quartile, and the last 25% will fall in the fourth quartile. Now, while that may be like, well, duh, blah, 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 what does that matter? It becomes interesting when we graph these things. So here's 18, and I'm gonna graph it. Now, box and whisker plots are not on the number line itself. It's actually above. Our second quartile was down here at 23. Oh man. When you put them on a number line, you can see a big gap there. I guess they're all, I mean, that's a fourth, so I just multiply by 4. They should all look like, I should just have 4 even ones, right? Well, here's our median. That was our third point. That wasn't nearly as large as the last one. All right, so then we go to 29. That's closer to the first one. But then our last number is 30. Those are pretty darn close to each other. Now, where the box and whisker part are, the whiskers are the last 25% and the first 25%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a vertical line at each of the interquartiles, just meaning inside. And I'm going to connect all those lines. I now have my box, and I have 2 whiskers. In looking at this, what it means is our data, the 25% of our data fall between the numbers 18 and 23. The next 25 fall between 23 and 25. That's a smaller space for more or for the same amount of entries. So it really shows an interesting distribution of where our numbers are coming from. And this is where mean and median and all that fun stuff really come in to start saying, okay, what does the middle of the data actually mean? Because there is a lot more happening between 23 and 25 than there is 25 and 29. Because the larger the range, the more spread out something is. Think of it, again, like a rubber band, if I had it on me. Oh, there it is. Now we'll forget the paper clip is here. The same rubber band kind of scrunched together, the more that's happening, right? The more that there's an arc at top, but the more it flattens out, the less that's happening. Another way to think about it is like you're climbing a mountain, the more you're gonna have to do, but the more flat the terrain, the easier and less you're gonna have to do. Those are all different ways to be able to think of what those quartiles are really telling us. It's telling us a distribution of the data, and they're always in fourths. So within within this 25% contains this much data. The smaller or the more compact something is, the more we're trying to fit into it, the more complex it is. And the more widespread apart that it is, the less that's happening, the less that's occurring, the less complex it is. So that's how you make a box and whisker plot. You're gonna find your smallest, find your low quartile, your median, your largest, or your upper quartile and your largest. Now how I do that is I start with my smallest and my largest. I find the median, okay? That gets me my 3 points, and then I use the median in the lower to find the lower quartile, and I use the median in the upper to find the upper quartile. And that's how I that's how I found the numbers. Then you build your whiskers and you build your box, and you're done.